Welcome to Fun and Games Side Quests. Every episode is a different host sharing a video game they love and why they love it.
Hi, I'm Benjamin Gray, he, him, you can call me Ben, and I'm a writer and one of the core cast, creators, and host of the actual play podcast Roleplay Retcon, part of the One Shot Podcast Network. Roleplay Retcon remakes infamous bad movies by turning them into TTRPG mini-campaigns. Even though I'm in the TTRPG space these days, my first love was video games, and the game I love that I've chosen for this side quest is Bomberman Hero for the Nintendo 64, because there's nothing quite like it, not even other Bomberman games. Now, Bomberman Hero isn't a perfect game. A game doesn't have to be perfect to be loved. It got middling reviews when it came out, which honestly it kind of deserves if I can put my love aside and be a little more objective for a second. It's pretty easy and short, which at the time was starting to be forgiven a little more, but people still wanted a game to have some longevity because bite-sized indie games that cost $5 wasn't a thing yet. We didn't know we wanted a chill, short king. Its most egregious fault is that they somehow shipped a Bomberman game without any multiplayer whatsoever, which, if you know about Bomberman, you know that's bananas. If you don't know about Bomberman, let me give you a little history. Before the Nintendo 64, Bomberman was a mostly multiplayer series of games where cute little guys with big heads ran around in a top-down maze-like arena with destructible walls and set bombs that exploded in a sort of cross shape, and the goal was to catch your opponents in blasts by being one step ahead of them and either tricking them into walking into a blast or trapping them in a little nook. And there was also a lot of focus on being really careful and not getting caught in your own blasts. Mostly it was elegantly simple, and it was, well, a blast. You could play these games by yourself, and there were a few titles with a sort of campaign or story mode included, but the gameplay was mostly the same. It was just you versus computer players or baddies with maybe some themed maps and a cutscene every few levels. The last couple of games in the series, Super Bomberman R and R2, actually returned to this formula. But in 1997, they tried something new with Bomberman 64, which is not Bomberman Hero, but I gotta talk about it for just a second to put why Bomberman Hero is special into context. Bomberman 64 had a multiplayer mode that was basically the classic Bomberman experience, but the meat of the game was a single-player adventure that used the basic top-down bomb-planting Bomberman experience, but it ditched those maze arenas for bigger levels with puzzles and enemies and boss to fights and secrets to find, and a lot of people love it. They made 2 more Bomberman 64 titles, and even going into GameCube and beyond, they kind of stuck to this formula too. I've played and beaten Bomberman 64 since its release, but at the time my 11-year-old brain couldn't quite grok it, which was a shame because I loved the aesthetics. I liked the little guy, and the funky, cool, jazzy music, and the one colorful world I couldn't get past, which made Bomberman Hero all the more welcome when it showed up the next year. Hero was even more of a departure from form, so much that they've never made another game like it. The camera's still mostly fixed, but now it's a little more horizontal, and it shifted gears hard into 3D platforming. And it gave up one of the biggest hallmarks of the series, a frantic, nail-biting pace, for a cozy experience that emphasizes taking your time with it. It kept that cool drum and bass music, though. I could listen to that all day, every day. Hero isn't just a 3D platformer with a Bomberman skin over it, though. As big of a departure as it was, it still feels Bomberman. Combat is still kind of tactical. Sure, you can throw bombs now instead of just setting them down or kicking them, but you still have to think ahead. You have to watch out for your own blasts and time your bombs right so that enemies are in the blast radius. The controls are a little sticky, like in 64 games often are, but the jumping feels real good. I could jump all day as therapy. The game's not super complex. You don't really learn any new tricks as the game goes along. They throw a few levels with jetpack and jetpack adjacent personal vehicles. There's a sort of submarine pants thing. The big variety is the levels. They stay fresh and fascinating through the whole game. There's no single level that's anything like another level. The game's broken up into a few themed planets, which themselves have a few themed areas each, and those areas have a bunch of little stages. And sometimes within an area, the stages will be all over the place. There's one fire planet, but only one of the stages in the first area is a fire thing. There's another one that's an Egyptian pyramid. where you have to like break out of prison at the beginning of it. And another one is like a crystal cave. And then sometimes the levels will follow logically. Like there's another area that's an ascent up a clock tower. And you start at the bottom and you work your way up. And in this first stage, there's even like a little bit beyond the level exit if you want to explore and get that perfect score. Then you go inside and it's still like this winding way up, but now there's this big hole in the middle and you have to dodge these gears that are rolling down the path. And then when you get to the top of the tower, you fight a boss, which is a big bird with a laser gun on its belt. And you have a little helicopter in your head and you're trying to drop bombs on the bird. It's wild. Despite that description, it is actually pretty relaxing. The game really lets you take it at your own pace. It like taking your time with it and being careful is kind of the name of the game. And it's really just not that hard. But there is a challenge if you want it. Every level has a perfect score that you can rack up by defeating all the enemies and collecting these gems. And there's a couple of dozen collectibles to find throughout the game, all of which unlock a couple of fun things like a bonus boss and some mini games. The game is kind of hard to describe further than that in simple terms. One of the reasons I love it is because there was never a game like it and hasn't been one since. One thing I think is really funny is the American Box Arts tagline just says Bomberman in his latest adventure. So even Hudson Soft and Nintendo didn't know how to present this to the public. The game I think is closest to it is Pac-Man World for the PlayStation. Because that's also a classic top-down maze-running game turned into a 3D platformer with mechanics that are inspired by its source material, but are still also a pretty big departure from that source material. So if you like one of these games, you will like the other one probably. I don't know why this game isn't on the Switch's N64 expansion pack, or Bomberman 64 trilogy for that matter, or even the Super Bomberman games. Bomberman Hero is oddball enough that it would get some press, and I can't imagine the licensing fees are all that expensive. This is the kind of game where if you were just perusing the Nintendo Switch expansion pack buffet and you booted this up, you would be like, wow, this is really fun. And you'd probably play the whole thing over a weekend. It's weird in the best way, and it's cozy like all the best N64 games. And it was perfect to rent and kill time over a weekend at grandma's house. That's why I love Bomberman Hero. Thanks for listening. I'm Benjamin Gray, and once again, you can find me on Roleplay Retcon with my friends Jincy and Alex and lots of cool guests as we remake the movies that let you down with TTRPGs and storytelling games. You don't got to watch the movies. You don't got to know a lot about TTRPGs. We walk you through all that. It's not as complicated as it sounds. It's actually a lot of fun, and we're told it's pretty funny. If you want to check us out, you might give our remake of the 2015 Adam Sandler movie Pixels a try. And I also do a bunch more stuff that you can find at heybenjamingray.com, but I'll let you find that out for yourself. All right, happy gaming.
Hello, my name is Aaron. I'm one half of Super Pod Saga, a topical variety video game podcast fueled entirely by nostalgia and unleaded gasoline. Super Pod Saga, we discuss a different video game topic each and every week. We have new episodes every single Monday covering a different video game topic. More than anything, we want to entertain our listeners and make you feel like you're one of the boys, like you're hanging out at a campfire with some of your best zany, caffeine-powered buddies and just talking about your favorite games and all that stuff. Stop on down to Super Pod Saga. It's on every podcatcher there is. If it's not, let me know and we'll get on it. But again, Super Pod Saga, stop on by.
CPOV. CertainPOV.com.